Welcome back to my channel. Sorry it's been a while since I've posted a video. Things have been a little hectic around here. My internet's been down for a while on my phone and even at the house. Work where trying to change things around because they were fixing to go to a whole different system work. So been doing all that, but it does not mean I haven't been busy, especially on the C10. Actually done a little bit. Well, I don't know if you consider it an upgrade or another harness swap. I've ditched the harness that I had. I always had a little problem with some of the wiring where I don't think I got something sorted just right. So I always wanted to redo it. And I decided, well, this route, I'm going to go a little bit different because I want to redo the wiring harness on the whole truck. So instead of just doing the wiring harness, doing the 3-wire hookup, I want to go ahead and convert this and use the factory fuse block that is for like the 99 to 2002 year model Silverado. So ended up getting this on eBay. I was planning on getting it from a local pull apart. Came across the price of it a lot cheaper off of eBay, except for my fuse block cover. Anyway, got the harness, which this is the factory one that came off of a 99. I did find out there was the O2 sensors was different, and the main reason I was wanting the harness because I want to put the factory oil pressure sensing unit that is for the 5.3 in there because I never could get the other one really show right. I'm going to relocate it to a different one. So I wanted to pin in and go to the PCM, the factory one, but I never could figure out which wire it's supposed to be. I'd have to go get the plug for it anyway. I figured, well, I'll just go ahead and go with the harness. But the O2 sensors was different from the 99 to 2000. Apparently they have the square plugs, and then above that they had the the rectangle plugs, and the square ones was from starting at the late 2000 to 2002. And so I just took the ones from my other harness and swapped them color for other. They were exactly the same, so I wired those up, just changed the plug in. But here, pull this off, I have the factory fuse block. Now you see that these big fuses right here are not in here, and that's because they're not wired up. However, the starter relay, let's see, starter relay, fuse relay, or maybe this is fuse. Either way, I don't have the starter wired up. I do get it run to the starter, but I can't figure out the pin going into the fuse block of how to wire that up. So I got that set up where I can do the next stage over, and then when I find out which one it is, I can get it set up. But I do still have the factory C10 wiring harness still going to the starter, so it can crank that way. And I got it wired up to the sorry, my neighbor's kids is riding their 4-wheeler and making a little bit of a racket. Anyway, got it where I do run this fuse block, and I had to put it in, sorry about that, I had to put it in this location a little bit from the fender because I originally had it sitting right here. I didn't have it bolted down, I just had it sitting there because I wanted to make sure I was going to be able to clear the hood. And fortunately, this was the only place I had it, so I drilled 3 holes, fixed me some spacers, and it's mounted. It's not going nowhere. The only thing I had to do, I haven't run the new wiring harness I had into the plug-in for the fans. Squirrels running up the power line. So what I done was I bypassed it and run the wiring harness and stuff to the factory fuse block for the C10, and got it where it just come on with the switch for right now. Later on, I'll finally get in here, change the switch over, and run the wiring harness from this for the stage 1 fan and the stage 2 fan. So the high and low will be able to work. And another reason I went with this factory fuse block instead of going with the 3-wire swap. I don't know why I can't even think the name of that actually is. It's because, like I said, I want to upgrade the harness. So I'm putting everything from anywhere from a 99 to 2002 year model, 1500, maybe Yukon, because this box I've actually got on my local junkyard for 20 bucks. Well, I couldn't believe it had done it. And here's another thing that I have done. Got right here the battery wiring harness, and I got it wired up here. And this is how I got it wired up, going all the way to the starter. So I got the original battery hooked up plus this. So that's how I'm getting power to the fuse block, which turns on the power to the PCM and everything. So yeah, standalone harness. That's what I could have. So it's similar to the standalone harness, but it's got the extra fuses. Got everything wired up for the over 2 port, and I have the check engine light wired up, but apparently my check engine light is blowed. Luckily, when I ordered that one, I ordered several more, so I'm going to replace it. Although I am going to be putting, excuse me, the factory cluster for 2000, around 2002 Chevy Silverado in here eventually. So I'll actually be running it off of that. I don't know when, but that's the way I got it set up, where I can actually upgrade this. And I mean, the way this thing runs now is very perfect. All the fuel pump, I'm using the 2002 Chevy Silverado 1500 fuel pump relay to run my fuel pump, and cranks right up. Now, I did originally have my fan wired up to the fuse block out there. I had to find a pin so I could wire it in there, and for some reason, when I get ready to shut the truck off, it would run for like 2 or 3 seconds afterwards and then shut off. It was irritating. I let it go for a day or two. Finally, I think it was yesterday, it might have been early this morning, but I think it was yesterday, I went ahead and found me one section where I could hook it up to the fuse block inside. Like I said, the interior ones is going to be, I'm totally replacing all that with upgrades. So it all the way to the tail light, even the light harness. So I'm going to upgrade everything. And all this wiring that's messed up in this, because this is over a 40-year-old truck, all that's going to be upgraded and running better. But I got this now where when I shut it off, it shuts off. So I'm really happy the way things is working. It was irritating when I first wired it up, because when I first wired it up, I was like, where is the O2 sensors? I got the rear plug, which is still on the harness. I have not removed it. I did depend it from the PCM because I'm not going to be using them. And I did it because when I plugged everything up got things wired up, watched videos, done research to see how to get that fuse block to actually work, and I couldn't get it to crank. I mean, it turned over, but I wouldn't run at all. So I was going through, and it took me a couple of days, which luckily I had plenty of time to worry about when it was running. And I made sure I had time to do it. I had the setup, I got the harness in, all this, which all came in just the perfect time for it. Because I'd done this during the holidays too. I started on Labor Day. I was like, I'm going to do this, and then I got all that weekend, and hopefully I have it done by Monday where I can drive it to work. And I did. But like Labor Day, got in there. I had to figure out which plug went to where, which actually ended up being pretty simple. I'm really glad I went with back to the factory harness, because my other one I took completely apart, because I originally was planning on routing it inside here. Didn't think to check to see, one, if the PCM would even fit inside the truck, and I just didn't have a good location for it. Unfortunately, where I put the fuse block now is where I had the PCM mounted, so I got it kind of sitting to the side. I have to figure out me a new mount, but I will do that later. But I do got it where it is secure for right now. Oh, excuse me. I don't know what's going on with me burping and stuff. But I was going through it because I was like, of course, the O2 sensor is like, well, I don't have them hooked up. I was like, when I had my standalone, when I first done it, it was several weeks before my O2 sensors even came in, and I was able to crank it up. But I do know with this setup, you got to have all the grounds. I'm like, I got the brown, the blacks, mounted to the front, to the side, the rear. Well, it's one in the front, two in the rear. It's like, I got all those grounds hooked up. What's going on? So, and I was like, well, I need to find out what's going on with the O2 sensors, because I know the wiring on the O2 sensor is in the PCM. So where is these? So I was reading about the O2 sensors from lt1swap.com's website, and found out the difference in those. I was like, well, okay, here's the plug. I changed them up, and I also was reading about the brown, because there's the different color wires. I think the driver's side has a purple, which is the one that goes to PCM to get the readout, and purple white on the driver's side, or maybe the other way around. Of course, you got the brown. Then you got the tan, which is a low reference ground, and you got the pink, which is the hot from the switch. I was like, wait, I know this thing has to have good ground, and it was talking about it gets the ground for the tan from that. Well, one of the grounds for the PCM, it happens to be a tan. I was like, I bet I have to have the O2 sensors hooked up to get enough ground for it to crank up. Hooked those up, plugged them up, and it fired up. Well, it fired up slowly because it was already kind of flooded from the fuel from me trying to crank it before that. But yeah, it finally run, and runs great. Really, really good. I'm really happy with the way it's running better than it ever has now. So yeah, the next stage, since I got the pin, well, when I had the fuse box, I just had it mounted in a way where it was secured up against the PCM, so it really wasn't even mounted. It was just secured by zip ties. And I was like, this weekend, I was like, I didn't have much money left over. I was like, well, I'll just go to my local junkyard. I know they have one which I was originally going to get the harness off of, but I'm like, found this one which was a lot better shape. The only thing it is there's a plug for the transmission that's cut. I do have the plug for it. I I don't have electronic transmission, so it doesn't matter. But I did leave it on there because I am planning on upgrading the transmission sooner or later. So I'm got everything there for when I do upgrade to more electronic stuff on there. But I was like, I bet I could get the mount if nobody's came and got it, and be able to put it in there. So I came down there. The mount for the PCM was still there because the PCM was still mounted. And well, this was really a sketchy looking truck, which is a Yukon. So I got the mount off of it. Now they did have another Yukon, which looking at it, you're like, why is this even sitting here? And it wasn't a wreck or anything like that, but that's like, I know the motor and transmission, no parts was taken off of it. What the cover, which happens to have the fuse panel display, which is what I was wanting, was know which fuse is what. I had to trace and trace to find out which ones went to what, and the wiring, which one, finding out the wiring wasn't that hard. Finding out, trying to figure out which fuses in case I need to replace them, or if some of the fuses, like the big square ones, if I need them or not, which I found out I don't need them for now. Sooner or later I will need to. I'll know which ones I will need and which ones I won't need. But it had a good cover on there, so I had to take one little curved bracket and I think 4 little screws, and then it just pops right off and holds on there by just popping on. It don't even hold it on by the screws. The screws was I don't know, it might have been mounted for something else. I got them anyway. Anyway, I brought them up there and said $20. So I got that for $20. I found one on eBay that was just that cover, which guy gave me an offer for the top lid. He just gave me an offer, which I've already got it before he gave me the offer. And then that bottom main cover, which was without the mount. I didn't know it didn't have the mount. I thought that was what the PCM actually mounted into. And he gave me an offer, but the offer expired because my internet was down. And when the internet was up, I found out about it and I couldn't get into it. And I was like, but I got everything for $20. So I'm really, really happy about that. So for $200, I replaced everything underneath here and got this working the way it was back in 2000, which like I said, the fuse block came out of 2002. My engine actually came out of 2002. The wiring harness, though, it came out of 99, but the O2 sensor plugs came off the 2002 original wiring harness that came with the engine. So I just upgraded that part. Changed the plug that goes in the temperature sensor, so it's wired up correctly, because I never could figure out if I had the other one wired up right or not. But I got it wired up correctly and still got it where it'll work with my factory gauge in here. Even when I upgrade this, I am going to put a separate gauge up here so I can make sure if something happens with one, I got a reference with the other one. And I'm planning on adding more gauges later on in the future, even when I get everything swapped. Now the oil pressure sending unit I got, and excuse me, it's actually in my toolbox, which is another thing I'll show y'all in just a minute. That's the only thing I got to replace. Got to take the other one off, put that one on and plug it. Now the one I got up there right now, I am going to put it in a lower location and see if it'll work with this factory gauge. Although I did watch one guy that had the fuse blocks, and he was talking about which wire come off of it that you could possibly use this fuse or this type of gauge on that. I don't know if he's right or not, and I haven't been able to find that video since. Now, speaking of the toolbox, there is another thing that I have done since my last video. I actually got a toolbox. This is a used one. Found off of Facebook. Guy wanted a reasonable price for it. and it actually, it's in good shape. Does have kind of a faded paint. I think it's bedliner paint on it instead of the chrome that was on it. But it actually, right now, the way my truck is looking, it suits the truck perfectly. So, really great, because I got so much room inside the cab, because my tools are not up there, they're in the back, and now they're all secured. So I don't have to worry about it and people staring at any of my tools that I may have left in there. Now, yeah, on this harness though, I left everything on here, even the AC plugs is still there. They just ain't plugged up or nothing, because I wasn't originally planning on going back with AC, which with this frame, I couldn't use the AC pump in the factory location for the 5.3. I would have to get a different mount. But what I'm thinking about doing later on down the line is maybe get the AC, all the other components that I need, and actually put it, you know, the 2000 year model AC unit in here. But that's nothing in a hurry about. I have, of course, you seen how that battery was up. I kind of forgot what I was talking about. I'm fixing this where it's going to have dual batteries. I got an extra battery, which is one I had for the truck. Bought this new battery because I figured the other one was going dead, but I charged that other one up and it was holding the charge. I was like, I might as well use it. So I'm going to have one actually charging and use it as a starter, and using the other one for accessories that I'm planning on adding to this truck in the future. So I'm going to set it up right now where it will charge both batteries at once. Pretty much run off both batteries, but it'll still be a 12 volt system. But I am going to get a I can't think of what that battery piece is. Right now I'm getting a little bit tired, and it's been a long day for me. But I'm going to have it where it'll go back and forth for the two. Right now I'm just going to wire it up, but my ground ended up being way too short. So I can't even use it, which right now my PCM is kind of sitting where my second battery is going to go. And when I got plenty of positive cable, but the cable that hooks up to the fuse panel is, yeah, it makes it too short unless I move the battery box closer up. If I did that, then it would, it's still, the cable that comes from the box is going to end up being a little tight for some reason. I don't know why. Before I've actually changed this in, because somebody had changed the wiring, because this is the cable that came from the 99 harness. I changed it to a top post. Now I do have the original battery cable that came with the 2000 200 motor, and somebody had that also already cut off, and they had a top post on there, and I have the actual Chevrolet side posts on there. Both of my batteries are side posts, so I'm going to leave it as a side post. I know a lot of people change them over to the top post because of more convenience. The side posts do have a tendency of having more problems of messing up, but if you ever have problems, you can easily change the ends, and a lot of people, instead of changing those ends, they just go ahead and change it over to a top post, which I may eventually put it like a deep cycle in here on one side, or maybe in both. I don't know. But anyway, I figured I'd give it a little update of what's going on. Wow, this video is a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. I was just going to make a short update. Anyway, this was been going on with the C10 and what's going to happen. Hopefully now I got the internet straightened out, my phone straightened out. Things are starting to settle out a little bit. I'll be able to do some more upgrades and hopefully some videos. Been rearranging things too. It's another reason I ain't done videos, because I totally rearranged where my computer was and way it was set up. And I still got a few things I got to hook up. Anyway, I'm going to end the video here. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I'll see y'all in the next video. Hopefully.